In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little mini jute basket. The little mini jute basket would be just adorable in a little dollhouse. So if you are a dollhouse collector, and this would be just an adorable, perfect size basket to put into your dollhouse. You can also use it for little trinkets. It won't fit an Easter egg, but you definitely could put a few little jelly beans in there, and it's just adorable. So if you want to learn how to make this mini jute basket today, please join me in this tutorial and I will show you how it's done. Okay, so to make the jute basket, we will need some jute twine. This is a 3-ply jute twine. It's fairly thin. It's a very thin jute, which is perfect to make this mini basket. And I am going to use a size D or 3.125 millimeter crochet hook to make the mini crochet basket. So let's go ahead and begin with a magic ring or magic circle. Okay, so now we are going to work 6 single crochets into the center of the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull the little tail here to close up my magic circle, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet that we did. Okay, so that completes round 1. So for round 2, we're going to do 2 single crochets into every stitch around. So chain 1 to begin, and then do 2 single crochets into that stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next stitch, okay, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets into every other stitch, into every single stitch of this round. So when we're done with this round, we will have 12 single crochets. So just keep going around doing 2 single crochets into every stitch. Okay, so I'm going to stop here a moment and count my stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we need 2 more single crochets. Okay, so now that we have our 12 single crochets, let's go ahead and do a slip stitch to that first one, and that completes round 2. So for round 3, we are going to chain 1, and then do a single crochet into that same stitch. And then into the next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochets, and then the next stitch 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets into the next one. So you can see we're alternating here. We started off with 1, and then we do 2, then 1, then 2, and we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around to the end of this round. So that was 2 single crochets, so now we're going to do 1 into the next one, 2 into this one, 1 into the next stitch, 2 single crochets into the next one, and then 1, then 2 single crochets. Next stitch we will do 1, and then the next one we're going to do 2 single crochets. So at the end of this round we should have 18 single crochets. So I'm going to go ahead and count my stitches here. Make sure that we have 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. So now I'm going to go ahead and instead of doing a slip stitch to join, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to continue to work in the round. So let me go ahead and take it out. So that's the stitch that we normally would have slipped into, because that's the end of the round, but we're not going to do that in this case. What we're going to do is we are going to begin this round by working in the back loop only and doing the single crochet. Okay, so we're going to be working in the round. So since that's the first stitch, we need to put a stitch marker in. For my stitch marker, I'm going to use a piece of yarn that's a different color than the jute twine. Alright, so now we're going to continue around until we get to the stitch marker, working only in the back loops. We're going to insert our hooks into the back loop only and do a single crochet. One single crochet into every single stitch until we get to the stitch marker. So you can see I'm inserting the hook in the back loop only and then working the single crochet. Back loop only. We're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so we're just going to do this all the way around, one single crochet into every single stitch, working in only the back loops, leaving the front loops unworked. So this is the round where we're actually going to start building the sides of our basket now. And you see where we're working into the back loop, that's leaving these ones unworked, so it's leaving that little bit of a ridge there. Okay, so we're going to continue around doing the same thing. Okay, so we're back to where the stitch marker is. And now it's starting to curve up, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn it inside out. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to take my stitch marker out and insert the hook into the back loop only and work a single crochet. And then I want to put my stitch marker back in so we know where we begin the round. So for this round, it's going to be the same that we just did in the previous round. Working in the back loops only, we're going to do one single crochet into every single stitch around until we get to the stitch marker again. And you can see by working in the back loops, you should be able to see those nice little ridges, and that gives it a nice little texture, and that makes it look more like a woven basket. I think it looks just adorable that way. Oops. Okay, so we are back to the stitch marker. I'm going to go ahead and pull that out. And then we're going to do the third round, this third one, the same way we just did the last two. Because the first 3 rounds were for the bottom base, and then now we're working on the sides. So now we're repeating this for the third time, where we're working in just the back loops. I'm going to put my stitch marker back in. I just did 2 of them, so let me put that back in there. Around, working in just the back loops. So this is just a repeat of the previous 2 rounds. And we're going to do 1 single crochet, working in the back loops, until we get back to the stitch marker. Okay, so we're here back to the stitch marker. So now we're going to do one more round, just like the previous round. So one single crochet, working into the back loops only. So let's make sure we put our stitch marker back in. Okay, so one single crochet into every single stitch around until we get back to the stitch marker. Okay, we're almost done with this round. Okay, so now we're back to where the stitch marker is. So we just did 4 rounds where we worked in the back loops only. So now we're going to work on the round where we do the edging of the basket. So let me just go ahead and clean the table surface here, because if you've ever worked with jute, you know that you get these little fibers that sometimes will collect on top of your tabletop, and that's because, you know, it is a natural product that we're working with, and it's plant-based, so that's perfectly normal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my stitch marker out, and what you want to do is, this time, instead of inserting in the back loops only, you're going to insert your hook underneath both loops, just like you normally would when you work a single crochet or any stitch. So we're going to insert it like that, and then you're going to pull a loop up, and then do a slip stitch. And you want to make sure not to do the stitches too tightly here. So let's go ahead and put our stitch marker back in. Put it underneath that stitch so I know where I began. Okay, so go ahead and do the next one. Insert your hook underneath both loops. Pull a loop through, and then a slip stitch. Okay, I'll repeat that again. Insert your hook under both loops, right under that V-stitch, making sure you get both loops. There. Pull up a loop, and do a slip stitch. And you want to make sure that you don't do the stitches too tight. So we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so if you look, you can see that it's creating this nice little edge where the V-stitches are on the outside. And then if you look at the top, you can see it gives this nice little edge right here. Because this is the side that if we did not do the slip stitches, it would look like this. And then that gives it a nice finished edge. I think it looks really nice. Plus it makes it a little sturdier, because this would just cave in like that. It's a little flimsy, but when you have this, it makes it sturdier and hold its shape better. And it also looks very nice. And you want to make sure that you don't do the stitches too tight, because if you do, then it's going to curl in. So you do them, you know, nice and loose. That way it holds its shape really nice. Okay, so go ahead and insert your hook under both loops, pull up a loop, and just continue to do slip stitches all the way around until we get to the stitch marker. And just a little tip, if you find that if you are having trouble making the stitches looser and they're getting them too tight, going to the next size up, get a crochet hook that's just a little bit bigger to do the slip stitches. That way it will help you not to make the stitches too tight when you do the slip stitches. Okay, so I'm back to where the stitch marker is. I'm going to pull the stitch marker out. I don't need that now. And then I'm just going to insert my hook underneath that first one we did. And then I'm going to cut a tail here. And then I'm just going to pull that through that loop right there. Fasten off, give it a tug, fasten off right there. Okay, so now that's the basket. We need to make a base. Okay, to start the base, we are going to also start off with a magic ring, just like we did when we began the basket. We're using the same size crochet hook. Okay, so I have my magic ring now. So let's go ahead and you're going to start off almost exactly the same as we did the basket. Actually, we're going to start off the same way. So we're going to do 6 single crochets into the center of the ring. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close up my magic ring, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. Join that with a slip stitch. Okay, so now I'm going to chain 1, do 2 single crochets into that same stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next. We're going to do 2 single crochets into every single stitch around. So that way when we're done with this round, we will have 12 single crochets. Okay, let's count the stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now join with a slip stitch. Okay, so you can see the bottom base is starting to build now. And that's going to be going on the bottom right there. Okay, so now what we want to do is chain 2, do a slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 2 again, do a slip stitch into the next one, chain 2, 1, 2, and then a slip stitch into the next stitch, and chain 2, 1, 2, do a slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 2, and then slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 2 again, slip stitch into the next one, and chain 2, slip stitch to the next stitch, chain 2, and do a slip stitch into the next stitch. So we're going to do that all the way around. Same thing. Chain 2, slip stitch into the next stitch. Okay, chain 2. Chain 2 again, and slip stitch. And then we want to do a chain 2 again. 1, 2, and do a slip stitch right into that same first one there. Alright, so let's go ahead and cut off a tail so we can fasten off. And you want to leave a good sized tail because we're going to use that to sew into the basket. Okay, so there is the bottom base. So I'm going to set that aside with the basket, and now we need to create the handle. So to make the handle, we're going to make a little crocheted cord. So what you want to do is make a slip stitch, or a slip knot. Okay, so go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And go ahead and do a slip stitch to that first chain. So we have this little tiny ring. Okay. Okay, so then chain 1, and then insert it into that first chain. So you see they have 1, 2, 3. Insert it into that first chain. Pull up a loop. See, the jute gets stuck sometimes between the fibers. There we go. And then you'll have 2 loops. Yarn over, jute over, pull through, turn it to the next loop, pull up a loop. You'll have 2 loops over and do a single crochet. Turn it, turn again, grab that loop there, pull up a loop. Then you'll have your 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over or jute over, pull through to do a single crochet. And we just keep turning it and working into those 3 loops like that. Single crochets. Turn it again. Insert the hook through that loop. Pull up another loop. You'll have 2 loops on your hook. You just keep doing that all the way around. Turn, grab that other loop, pull a loop up. You'll have 2 loops over, single crochet. You just keep doing that all the way around, so you just keep turning it to grab the loop and do a single crochet. There's the loop, it's hiding. Okay, so we're almost done. Okay, keep turning it, grabbing that loop, pulling the loop up, so you have your 2 loops. Yarn over or jute over, pull through to make a single crochet, turn it again, next loop. So we're just doing single crochets, but we're turning it so it creates, it's in a circular motion, basically, so it creates, we're basically crocheting single crochets in the round. Okay, so let's see if this is long enough now. Okay, and I think just a couple more rounds. Okay, so I think that's going to be perfect, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull through, and then we'll fasten off here. So you can see we have this nice little handle now, a little cord that we made. Now, because I did it with jute, if you've never made one of these before, it may be tricky to see the stitches because it's very small. So in the corner, go ahead and click on the iCard, and there'll be a tutorial on how I did this with yarn. It'll be a bigger stitch, so it'll be easier to see. So now I'm going to go ahead and pull that through to fasten off. And now we have all 3 components for our basket. And we're ready to put it together. Okay, so putting everything together now. So let's go ahead and, actually, when we did this, I didn't finish that off. So let's go ahead and pull that tail through that loop to fasten off the little bottom here. Okay, so we have the bottom base done now in our little basket. So what we're going to do is let's go ahead and weave this tail in. So that was the magic circle. So if you need to, you know, tighten it up a little bit more, close up the hole, go ahead and give it a tug. And then let's just weave it in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that little tail there. Okay, so we're ready to put the bottom base on, and this is the magic ring, so I'm just going to pull that. Now, we want to use the part that's curving upward. See how it's curving a little bit up? That's going to be on the bottom. Okay, so we don't want to put it like that. We want to put it this way. Unless you like the way that looks, you can also do that if you want. But this is the way that I designed it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on there. So let's go ahead and weave this to the other side, so that way I can... Okay. And then pull it to the front. Okay, so I'm going to place that on top, right in the center there. And you can use, you know, when we started working the back loops, you can use that as your guide, because it's got this little ridge. So you can use that as your guide where to place it, right in the center of that. And then we want to go ahead and sew it through. We come through the basket and back down to sew it on. Okay, so now I'm going to use the other one and continue to sew it on. There we go. Okay, so let's keep weaving it in. Okay, so I'm going to weave it in until I get close to the other tail so I can tie them a little bit. Okay, so now, oops, it popped out. Let me try that again. Oh, it did it again. Okay, so it's a little too short, I guess. So I'm going to just use the crochet hook. Pull that through. Alright, so now you can see that they're close together. So I'm going to give it a knot or two. So that way it doesn't come undone. Alright, now I'm going to cut these little tails off. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that back that way. Okay, I'm going to shape my basket just a little bit. Alright, so now I'm going to weave this in. Okay, let me get rid of these little fibers from the jute. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and weave in this tail along the side of the basket. And that will help strengthen the side as well, having this extra twine here and there. Oops, I'll go ahead and thread that again. Try to sneak out, huh? Got it. Alright, now, go ahead and just sew it through. Okay, so that should be good. Unless, actually we'll just go ahead and use my hook and pull it back and forth a little bit. Weave it in a little bit more. Okay, so now you see the little tail there. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Okay, so I'm going to shape my basket there. So you can see how cute that is. Here's the bottom. Show you the sides, how cute that is. Looks like a little woven basket. It's adorable. Okay, so we're ready to put our handle on now. And so that's just going to curve like that. And you can put it right on the outsides, or you can decide to put the handle on the inside, which will probably look nicer. You can either do it like that, or right like that. I'm going to tuck it on the inside. I think that'll look nice. So, go ahead and thread through the needle here. And then sew it onto the basket. Okay, so I'm going to go back through. Okay. A few more stitches here. Okay. So I'm going to put that like that. Okay, so now, alright, actually I'm going to sew that a little bit more. It's a little loose. There we go. Almost. A couple more. A couple more times, make it more secure. Okay, let me go ahead and thread that back through again. Okay, and then what I like to do is weave it up through the handle a little bit to hide that end, that loose tail. Just weave it up the handle. Okay, and then you can cut that loose end. Alright, so now we just need to fold, sew this one onto the other side. And what I like to do is to make sure that I'm in the right place, is just squish it down a little bit to fold it in half so you can find the placement of where this should be. So it's exactly, or almost exactly where it should be. Because if you put it over to the side, then it won't look right, you know what I mean? So you want to kind of match it up. Okay, so that's going in the inside as well. Okay, so we're going to sew that in. Okay, perfect. Okay, so pull that through. Okay, that's on there pretty secure. So now, what I want to do is I'm going to weave that up the handle a little bit. Just like I did the other side. I'm going to sew one more time on this side. Oops. It's getting a little short, so I might not have that much. Maybe I should have made it a little longer. Okay, so I'm not really going to have enough, so I'm going to just use my hook to pull it back and forth to weave it. I'll just weave it through the basket, and it's fine as long as we just hide that little tail. Okay, so now I'm just going to cut off that loose tail right there. How cute is that? This little tiny basket. It's a real small basket. It's just adorable. I hope you enjoyed making the mini basket today. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. I hope that you will subscribe to my channel. That way you'll get a notification when I upload a new video. And I want to thank you for watching today. Thank you. Have a great day.